The Avengers Doomsday trailer is nigh. We have a WonderMan episode runtime rumor, a Jimmy Olsen TV series is on the way, and Predator Badlands is a franchise best at the box office. All that and more coming up right after this. Welcome to Multiverse News, your source for information about all your favorite fictional universes. My name is Matthew Carroll, and with me today on the panel, we have Jay Sisson. What's happening, bud?
Hey, not too much. Just buried in snow over here on the East Coast in November. But, we're doing fine.
Wow. Yeah, it's been cold enough to snow here, and my niece was like, why won't it snow? I was like, I don't want it to snow. We live on a terrible hill for it.
It seems a little early, but,
yeah, definitely
we're rolling with it.
Yeah. And Haley Hobbs, welcome.
Thank you. No snowmageddon here on the Great Plains. Sorry, East Coast.
And J. Scotty St. Clair.
Yeah, no snowmageddon on the West Coast either. In fact, we just had a little bit of a heat wave, so...
Heat wave! I'm sorry if you don't get that reference, and I hope you do. If you do, I hope you enjoyed it.
Was it like the 80s song? You're like,
no, the Muppets. Christmas Carol.
Oh, that's appropriate. That's appropriate.
Yeah, that is appropriate for today's stories.
Annual reminder that we are spread out across the continental United States.
Yes, we are.
Oh, the continental United States.
Will this be the return of Snow Bunker J? Let's hope.
No, we're not quite there. We're not quite there. But yeah, that's part of Multiverse News lore. That's deep lore.
All right. Well, turning to our 5-star review, we like to bring you guys one of those every week. We had someone, Lemire Rio.
Lemirio. I believe that's named after a Pokemon.
Oh, all right. I'm glad. Thank you. That's one thing I love about this show is we all have such different nerddoms, like such different pockets of geekdom that we all know that like we can most of the time we get a reference. One of us will get the reference. Lemirio says, "I heard you might need a new 5-star review since mine was getting a couple years old, and guess what? I am still listening and loving the show. Listening to and loving the show. I figured." Time for an update. I still have only positive things to say, even after all this time. The show has been, for me, like a tasting course in a variety of universes. I might not try because the background might seem like too much work, or I might simply not know about it, like Star Trek and the new Alien TV show. It's great that there is a place in the podcastoverse where Lumen Industries and the TVA can coexist, sometimes with a light dusting of Dolores Umbridge or Zombie Wanda to spice it all up. Only 5 stars here to use. Only 5 stars here to use, so pretend like each is worth 600 hearts, and you'll know my rating in true Iron Man units.
Aww.
It's a math one, everybody.
Very detailed.
Don't make me do math. You know better.
That is the Ready Player One of reviews, if there was one.
Very nice.
So true. So true. It's kind of this show, actually. Kind of a Ready Player One of podcasts.
That is a good comparison, yeah.
Deep.
Yeah.
Deep.
I don't know.
Profound.
All right, well, let's dive into our first story tonight. Though Disney and Marvel Studios have remained tight-lipped and cagey concerning details around the upcoming Avengers Doomsday, the internet and a few reputable trades have collectively discerned that we apparently know when the Avengers trailer is coming. The prognosticators have determined the trailer will be attached to December's Avatar Fire and Ash. Big news if true. Another unconfirmed but believable rumor that has taken the internet by storm concerns Marvel TV's WonderMan series and its episode runtimes, which place the longest episode at 34 minutes and the shortest at 23 minutes, including credits. While neither of these topics are as ironclad as Doom himself, surely they warrant a discussion. Or do they?
Yeah, we always pick and choose what rumors to talk about on this show, and there are certain things that we avoid, like we try to avoid scooper rumors and rumors that give away too much of a plot line because we actually want to enjoy the things that we watch and we don't want to just go into a theater experience and be like, well, we've already seen all the set photos and we already know exactly what's happening because we covered it all. So we choose what to cover. And I think these are ones that do warrant a discussion, because I think when you're looking at the trailer discussion around Avengers, while it does seem maybe a little early, I mean, you're talking about a year before the trailer itself, or before the movie itself actually comes to theaters, I think it does make sense from a logistical standpoint. You know, you're looking at another major Disney tentpole in Avatar. There's probably a lot of similar crossover audience that you're trying to draw in for Avengers. And I would imagine that we're not talking about a full-length trailer anyway. We're not talking about the big one where you're getting sort of the basic idea of the story. I think we're talking about just a very small trailer, something that's just kind of a tease. I mean, this movie only wrapped its filming about a month ago or so we're not going to have full work done on the movie to be able to put together a huge, full first look trailer. But looking ahead, it's like, where else would you put it? I guess the most logical place would be maybe the Super Bowl or something like that. In February, you could see maybe the debut of a bigger trailer, but you've also got, you know, movies like Spider-Man on the horizon and things like that. You're going to have to find some room for that to be able to hit. So while we're looking at this did come from Collider, which I would say is not, you know, one of the trades necessarily, quote unquote, the trades, but is still a reputable enough place. And then you've had other people kind of coming up behind it saying like, yeah, the sources that I'm hearing are saying the same thing. So I would say we don't even need to take it with a grain of salt. I would say that this is all but confirmed. If it's coming from Collider, they're putting their name on it. They're saying that, like, we're hearing this for sure. We know that Marvel is a little leaky, and they have been over the years. And so I would imagine that this is confirmed. Now, the WonderMan trailer runtimes, I don't know what you guys saw, but I know I saw a lot of negative feedback from these runtimes. People were sort of pushing back against the idea, saying that they were too short. I don't know about, I want to hear what you guys think, but like, I was not that surprised by the runtimes being this long. This show comes off to me like sort of I don't know if sitcom's the right word, but it kind of comes off to me as episodic in a way, to where that 20 to 30 minutes, I know we talked about it a lot when other comic book shows have been on, like Peacemaker, for example, which was hitting around that between 20 and 30 minutes an episode mark. But to me, based on the story we were telling in Peacemaker, that felt right. And so when I saw these runtimes, I was neither put off nor surprised by them. I know the 23 minutes, you see that and you're like, wow, 23 minutes, that's a 20-minute episode basically. But to me, this seems like the kind of show that will have some 20 to 25-minute episodes, just kind of based on the story that we're telling. So, again, I was not that surprised. I think it's a signal from Marvel of what they're doing with TV. We've heard from Feige, we're moving away from the big budget, huge production, hour-long, $100 million, huge CGI fight scene budgets for these Marvel shows. And that signals to me that, yeah, we're talking about more 20 to 30 minute, small scale, small story things. So I would imagine we're going to see more Marvel stories like this in the future, not less.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, we've talked about it before, but the idea in this world of streaming, you don't have a set runtime anymore. It used to be, you could, and I still tempted to do that. You can kind of glean a type of show based on the runtime of the episodes. You know, if it's more near that 20-minute mark, it's more of a comedy. If it's more near that 40-minute mark, it's more of a drama. It's just like kind of how shows shook out back in the day. But these days, it really, and especially the way Marvel has made, I mean, and this isn't even necessarily new. I mean, think about WandaVision. Those first 2 or 3 episodes are very, very short. And then they have a few longer ones towards the end. And that was only a 9-episode run, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, correct, for WandaVision, yeah.
So, you know, there's such a variety, and I love that for the creatives, because I think it's it allows them never to have to stretch to fill time. It allows episodes to be packed with like good stuff and not just filler, but it also allows for when they would need to for them to run longer. But this does make me feel like this is probably leaning even more comedic than I was thinking, which I already was feeling like it's mostly a comedy based on just what the stuff we've seen. But I guess I thought maybe it would have sort of a a serious turn at some point with superpowers and things that we just haven't seen. I did see another trailer this week that alluded to superpowers more than the previous trailers have. Did you guys see that? It was like actually on Disney Plus. I was watching, and it was just like one or two shots in the whole trailer that were new, but it had a shot where he was like had his hand near a water glass, and the water glass started doing like a rumbly thing as if he was like affecting it with his hand, and then someone asked him, before we hire you, do you have superpowers? And he was like, no. And it like almost alluding to the fact that he was lying, maybe. Like it was very interesting. Like I don't know if that could be out of order, but it's interesting because it's a new trailer. But I think those were like the only two new clips in the whole trailer. Anyway, I'm pumped for that show, and I'm cool with it being shorter. I do with it being that short, I particularly bet that they will pack more than one at a time.
Yeah, I feel like that's increasingly likely. And like, yeah, I agree with both of you. I don't have a super strong reaction as far as it being negative to seeing these runtimes, but if there is any negativity surrounding it, is like, I think it is very indicative of the fact that it is going to be released probably all at once. If not, we're going to get batches of episodes here, which I just kind of hate personally. And I was thinking about it. I think WonderMan really is in kind of like a unique position, because I feel like we've been talking for as long as we've been doing this show, like Marvel TV has been in a very pivotal kind of transitionary phase here. And it feels like they've really found their footing with Brad Winderbaum at the helm leading the charge here. But WonderMan really does kind of like stick out to me as like the last vestige of like old Marvel TV. Like it feels like it was like right before they started production is when they started to make a lot of the changes and a lot of the reactions here. But for whatever reason, I feel like for better or for worse, it is like I said, just has some of the lasting lingering effects of the previous approach to production there. So yeah, I immediately made the comparisons to WandaVision myself, but then I also think She-Hulk is the obvious one there. I'd have to go back and look at the runtimes for She-Hulk, but I think this is probably really in keeping with what we saw from She-Hulk. And Jay, you said like, a 23-minute episode actually ends up being 20-minute episode. I think it's probably actually closer to 17 minutes, because Disney Plus, they do every single language. Like you got to see the Polish credits and whatnot. So all that being said, I'm hoping that it is I'm not going to, make my judgment on this show based on unsubstantiated runtimes here. But if they are skewing on the shorter sides of things, I hope that they've learned some lessons along the way and incorporate some of those things. And yeah, not every TV show needs to have the like earth-shattering ramifications or impact on the films, but just do the small little things to service the fans. Like give us a post-credit scene here and there, with these shorter runtimes, just something like that. I hope they have learned some lessons along the way. But outside of that, the trailer makes a lot of sense. I will say I wouldn't be super, super surprised if, when Avatar Fire and Ash comes out and this thing isn't attached to it. I wouldn't be super surprised, because while it makes all the sense in the world to attach it to such a big franchise and one that's going to get so many eyeballs, the reality is, and I think Jay, you were bringing up, like the trailer just might not be ready at this point in time. Like they just wrapped production so recently. They know how important this thing is. They have to put the time and the resources into the effects. So I think that would be the one thing that holds them back on that. But I was also kind of contemplating, and I talked about it before when we were talking about the fall movie preview here. This new Avatar film, it's kind of in a unique position as well, because the last time we had one, there was like such a long time in between the two. I don't know if this is going to get the same turnout, because there hasn't been as much time in between. So I think this could be a situation of like, you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. Not only will the trailer get more people to go see Avatar, people going to see Avatar will get more eyes on the trailer. And I am reminded, I was too young to live through it myself, but I've, as a lifelong Star Wars fan, I've been able to go back and see the discourse. But it does remind me when The Phantom Menace came out in 1999, like tons of like swaths of Star Wars fans went to go see Meet Joe Black, the Brad Pitt vehicle. They went to go see that because the Phantom Menace trailer was attached to that, and they went and saw that and just left afterwards. So it'll be interesting to see if Disney has the willpower to really hold off and have this thing debut in theaters like it's supposed to, and not immediately release it online. I hope they have that kind of control. We'll see.
I don't have anything different to say about the WonderMan information. I think that I agree with all of you. I'm okay with the runtimes. I think it's okay to leave people wanting more sometimes. And really, since I'd say Moon Knight. A lot of the shows have kind of aired on this shorter runtime side. Ironheart being one, and even some of the Agatha episodes were kind of truncated. So it's okay with me, honestly, because I hate when I'm like watching something and I push the up button, like how much is left of this. So I don't want to feel that way. So I'm okay with all of that. The Doomsday trailer, I wonder, what are they going to try to accomplish with it? Are they going to try to shock and get people to come see it if it is getting released before Avatar that way? Or is it going to inform? Or the third option is it going to restore confidence? And really, I think it needs to do the last two more than the first one because of the nature of the film, because of the casting of Robert Downey Jr. as Doom or a Doom. I think it's going to be more about, hey, we've still got it, and come see why if you come to see Avatar. I'm sure they'll release it pretty quickly online if they do put it in front of Avatar, but I'm interested about the intent.
Yeah, I feel like if they want to inform, I think informing is the thing, but my question is, who are they going to be informing? Are we going to see anything new for us as people who follow this stuff so closely, or is this just going to be a trailer to get all of the people, the dirty casuals, as people call them, to like
nobody on this show.
We call them filthy, not dirty.
Filthy, that's right. Filthy casuals. The more casual fans, I think a lot of them probably don't know the RDJ is Doom thing yet, or like what's going on there.
That's why I think you have to do both. You have to inform and re-engage us. Not that we're disengaged, but you know what I mean.
I think that most Marvel fans know the Doom thing, Jay Scotty, but like there's just a lot of people that go see Avengers movies who do not follow the news at all, who do not go see what happens at Comic-Cons, you know?
It's fair, and we've had, a lot of discourse about like the monoculture and the death of the monoculture, but I just feel like, and maybe it speaks to the fact that I'm in my bubble and I just can't escape my bubble, but I feel like even the more casual people on my various social media feeds, even my parents, I feel like even though they haven't seen like the last like probably 3 or 4 Marvel movies, and there's a handful that they haven't seen in between, I feel like they still know. And maybe that's just a byproduct of being in some association with me, but who knows?
Yeah. My mom definitely doesn't know.
Okay.
My parents have no idea.
Right. But she would probably go see Avatar and would recognize Tony Stark. Of course, she also hasn't seen Endgame, so doesn't know that it's a surprise that he's there. You know what I mean? So my mom, I just think about people like that would go see Avatar that don't know anything about what's going on in Marvel world.
Because the 4 quadrants go to see James Cameron movies, you guys.
It's true. It is true.
Yeah.
One thought about the runtimes of WonderMan, I was just thinking about like the thing that surprises me about the runtimes. The production quality on comedies, especially like 20-minute comedies, has a lot of times it's lit a certain way and a certain kind of sheen to it. And so if you're doing like a 20-minute comedy type show, it is rare to have the kind of production quality that we've seen from the trailers. The production qualities look like a 40-minute show. They just do. I don't know what that is, but that is a thing. And the only show that I can think of that really pairs that, like the shorter comedy and the production quality, is The Studio. It's reminding me, and it's about Hollywood too. So it kind of has
That's what I said when the trailer dropped. I'm like, this is The Studio in Marvel.
Oh, fun.
Oh, totally.
It's reminding me, the trailers that we discussed at some point, but they also remind me of the franchise.
Oh yeah,
We like clearly there's a connection there, but yeah, I never finished the franchise, but I was very disappointed in the first couple episodes.
I couldn't stick with it either because, and I think we talked about it. It's like one thing to poke fun at something with some measure of like earnestness or admiration for it, and there was none of that there. It was like, you like these things, you're an idiot for liking these things, let's take the fun out of it for 30 minutes at a time.
Exactly. You can poke fun at it and still, I thought, I've said this before on some podcast, I thought the whole first episode they were really just basically crapping on Marvel. It was like, this is how stupid and vapid these movies are, and like none of it matters, and it's all being run by a studio head that doesn't really care, and they're just shoving toys around. And it was just really, really insulting. And there was this character that we didn't know much about. And I thought by the end we were going to get some sort of emotional core where that character, I think it was like the new assistant, was going to be like a real fan and was going to be like, but I care about this stuff. I thought there was going to be some sort of turn there, and there wasn't. Everyone just shit on Marvel for 40 minutes. I was like, this is not fun. Why make a show that you're lampooning something that the people who are going to want to watch it are going to hate the show? All right, well, let's move on to our next story. Per The Hollywood Reporter, DC Studios has greenlit a Superman spinoff series focusing on standout Skyler Gizondo's Jimmy Olsen, and coming to us from Dan Perrault and Tony Yacenda, the creators of Netflix's award-winning mockumentary American Vandal. The series is said to focus on Olsen and other Daily Planet reporters, though Lois Lane and Clark Kent were conspicuously excluded, as he tackles cases involving superpowered villains, with season 1 featuring Flash rogue Gorilla Grodd as a big bad. No word on when to expect the series or how many episodes it will be, but there's still plenty to be excited about when it comes to Soup's best pal. What do you say, friends?
I think it's a good move to make a Jimmy Olsen-centered show, even though it probably won't be called Jimmy Olsen or something as silly and on the nose as that. It does beg the question of things we've talked about before, where it's like, do you do this without Lois and Superman, and does it work successfully? I think it could in this instance, because you have a whole cast of characters that we didn't really get to spend a lot of time with in the movie, and was one of the things about the movie I really didn't enjoy, because I would have liked to have spent more time in the newsroom, and I would have liked to know more of those people, and I thought they were all pretty funny, and so I think it's a great concept. I think it makes sense. Like, why wouldn't they do that? He was definitely a character people connected with in the film, and he was pretty much one of the best parts of it as a side character, so I think it's great. I always love when Gorilla Grodd is in things because it's so ridiculous. And it's like one of my favorite DC things is when things are just so utterly ridiculous. You're like, yeah, actually that does make sense. I do believe that.
That's what I was thinking too, was like what works with these superhero shows and what doesn't, and from like a general audience perspective. And I think, DC is one of those that it's undergunned, so it's going to lean into kind of the quirky type stuff. But it is going to be a hard sell, I think, for general audiences to be like, hey, this is a show, it's in the DCU, it's superhero, it's all that stuff, and the villain is a giant talking gorilla. It's like, will that? I don't know. I'm getting more like is that going to pull people over? Probably not. I think like your people who like DC comics and are kind of like into that sphere are going to like it. But yeah, will this be a show that, tops the Nielsen ratings? Probably not. But again, it's like, I don't know. I think that's what DC's going to do, though. I mean, that's what he's the guy who does Creature Commandos, and he does a whole 2 seasons about a character called Peacemaker that nobody knew about before he made him famous. I mean, that's just kind of his style. And so this makes complete sense whenever you kind of line all of those things up. But again, it's like, I think a show like Lanterns, for example, is probably going to have a lot more appeal. We're talking more of a drama, more of a known character than a show like this. I would imagine is probably not going to have as wide of appeal because, talking gorillas are talking gorillas at the end of the day.
He's a psychic gorilla.
Like, don't try to convince me that you're serious when your villain is a giant talking psychic gorilla. I mean, and that's fine. I'm just saying, like, don't try to convince me it's serious.
I wouldn't count Gorilla Grodd out. Hear me out here, because one of the great things about Gorilla Grodd is that he is a versatile character. You can adapt him in so many different ways. Certainly, a lot of creators like to lean into the strength and the brute, bruiser capabilities of Gorilla Grodd, but really his strength is his intelligence. So I look at the creatives involved here, and I really enjoyed both seasons of American Vandal, and I think what those series were able to do successfully, and you see the awards acclaim that came with it, the first season winning Emmys, they were really able to weave mysteries set against the backdrop of like new media and this new era of like journalism. And that was one of my favorite parts of Superman, is like Jimmy Olsen was not Skyler Gisondo was so much of Jimmy Olsen straight from the page of the comics in terms of just like his pluckiness and likability. But apart from that, he was really different in terms of being like this ladies' man, and really like him being a photojournalist. Like that was all on the back of Tessmacher and her selfies that they did in the investigation that they did through like Instagram effectively. So those are the things that do excite me. I think you could really see like a compelling and exciting season where this is a TV show, so they're probably going to want to save on the budget. I think Grodd probably won't be appearing all that much, but they could really lean into the intelligence and have him running some kind of viral marketing or propaganda in the background. And they really have to figure out like who is behind this. Is it it is a talking gorilla for real? Like we have to, and you know, that could be a lot of fun. And Haley, to your point, I think the other benefit to this is like, as much as I like Superman, that was one of the things I wanted more of. I wanted more of Beck Bennett's, Steve Lombard. I can't remember the actress that played Cat Grant, but I just wanted more of all of them. So this does seem really exciting to me. And, you know, will it have the mass appeal for a lot of people? I don't know. But I do think, again, that Skyler Gisondo was such a standout in Superman that it really could bring a lot of people in. And if it hits the right tone and the right comedy, like maybe not just one season, maybe multiple seasons, and we could see this be kind of like Peacemaker, you know, vacillated between being required viewing and setting a lot of things up. Maybe Jimmy Olsen is like our super glue that connects all of these various things, and maybe, you know, even like Clayface and stuff like that. Like this could be the backdoor to all that. It's pretty exciting. We'll see.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. You know, in our read there, we said it's conspicuously absent is Lois and Clark, but it makes sense to me that the show could have Lois and Clark in a few moments or episodes, or it could do the sort of like almost like a joke where it's like they're on vacation this month or something. You know,
oh sure.
There's some reason they're on assignment in some other country. You know, whatever. But like you could easily bring in the Justice Gang. You could bring in Checkmate. You could bring in Lanterns. You've already got the one lantern in the Justice Gang. Like connect it to the other lanterns. You could bring in some form of the Suicide Squad that apparently kind of exists in this universe. Creature Commandos, like all that stuff could all tie in and in a way that could be really, really cool. And even if it's just like, I think of She-Hulk, where they just kind of mention all these things happening in little sidebars and stuff, but just having that world feeling more lived in. And hopefully, like, I think this is gonna, I have no doubt this is gonna be a really good show. Like, it seems really great for me. Like, I think I'm gonna really enjoy it. Whether it's gonna be successful, I have no idea. It does feel like Peacemaker to me, where it's like, this seems so niche. Less niche than Peacemaker, honestly. A Jimmy Olsen show feels less niche than Peacemaker. And Skyler Gisondo, I feel like, has a lot of love because of his appearance in Righteous Gemstones too. Like, people that just like TV comedy might watch it for him. I don't know. I'm really interested. I think it sounds great. It sounds like a really great choice.
I don't think James Gunn cares if it's widely received or not. If he cared about that kind of thing, he wouldn't have made Peacemaker. I mean, there's a part of me that was like, did he just want to get this greenlit before Warner Brothers is sold?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I agree with you completely. I don't think he cares, but that is a problem in the long run. you got to have some success with your shows and your movies to build this interconnected universe that people care about.
Especially if you get a new boss, which you probably will get a new boss
exactly
pretty soon.
Yeah.
Could you use this to introduce the Flash? I mean, Gorilla Grodd has been a villain of the Flash primarily. I mean, he's very much closely associated with the Flash. And I would say that if you are James Gunn, you are thinking about that team-up movie that inevitably will happen or has to happen at some point. You've only got Superman. You've got a Green Lantern character coming, but Wonder Woman still absent, Batman still absent, the Flash still absent, Aquaman if you ever want to do something with that. So you do probably have to kind of get some of these characters into the universe at some point if you want to do that, and I would imagine that has got to be a sooner than later conversation. So I don't know if you do like the big Flash reveal or something like that in this show.
I know what you do.
But
you introduce Iris.
Oh, yeah, it's right
help
there.
us.
Yep.
Help
the
fill us in.
Flash's girlfriend. She's also a journalist.
Yep, that's right there.
Okay, there you go.
Well played.
Yeah, that's good.
Crossover made in heaven.
The only thing that worries me about this show is it reminds me of the DC show Powerless. Did you guys watch Powerless?
Never heard
No.
of that.
The reception to it was so poor that I never checked it out.
It's just a show about like a weird science lab that makes like technology inside the DC universe. I think is what they were doing. I don't know, but they're using
Alan
like
Tudyk,
DC.
Danny Pudi, right? That's
Yeah.
the one, right?
Was Alan Tudyk in there? Yeah, I think he was. Anyway, yeah, Danny Pudi. I'm forgetting everybody else's names, but it was not terrible, but it was just really kind of broad comedy.
I want to say Vanessa Hudgens
kind
might
of
have been in it.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was not successful, and I think it had that problem of like, hey, on my way to work today, Superman flew through and broke my mirror on my car, like, but you never see Superman, you know what I mean? But I think
Right.
that in a show
Yeah.
like this, you have the chance, because James Gunn loves these little weird projects, of actually infusing some of the actual characters into the show, and I think that would be better. It'd be better if you saw Superman in Powerless. That's what I'm saying. All right. Well, let's move on to our next story. Predator Badlands was the apex predator at the box office last weekend, debuting to $40 million domestically and doubling the haul internationally at $80 million worldwide. The film outperformed expectations, representing a much-needed shot of adrenaline in what has been a lethargic fall box office, while also putting up bests for the franchise, beating out 2004's Alien vs. Predator and 2018's The Predator in the domestic and global arenas, respectively. It seems to be a successful hunt across the board, with a current 85% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes and an A- cinema score. Is it too early to claim this as a box office trophy?
It's a win. Whether or not it's a trophy, well, it's a trophy. Is it a silver trophy? Is it a gold trophy? Is it a bronze trophy? I think that remains to be seen. But this is definitely a strong opening, and I love to see it as a fan of the theatrical experience and franchises like this getting another chance to reinvent themselves and lend themselves to modern sensibilities and budgets. I think this is a win across the board. Now, the part that we're not mentioning here is that this movie was made on a reported $105 million budget. So again, to just kind of put things into context, we talk about Tron Ares, which did $20 million less, or, overall, $10 million less domestically. And we call that just as a disaster. And then you look at this one and it's a success. Why is that? And it all comes down to the budgets again. And I saw this movie twice this weekend. It was a holiday weekend for me. Had Monday off and rolled into Veterans Day at the time of this recording. Happy Veterans Day to those who have served. And I really enjoyed it. They don't make movies like this anymore, where it is such a callback and hallmark to the era when this franchise really came out in the 80s, where it is just an action movie through and through, not trying to say anything super deep or emotional. And it's just a good time and a good action movie. A little shallow, but everything that they're trying to do, they just do so well. And the fact that this thing was done on a $105 million budget, which is not a micro budget by any means, but the practical mixed in with the CGI, the performances, the fact that you're taking a non-human character in a predator character and making it the protagonist, and I can actually feel for this character and relate to this character, and there is emotion happening on its face that's palpable, is just really, really impressive to me. So again, to put things into context a little bit here, I did see it twice this weekend. I saw it on Saturday, saw it on Dolby, the premium formats there. But when I went to go see it again on Monday evening, I was a little concerned by the lack of premium format screens that were available. I had to see it on laser. So looking at this weekend coming ahead, I know The Running Man is coming out, which I'm pretty excited for. First reviews are starting to come out for that. Certainly I want that to be successful, and it needs to take up some premium formats here. But this is just the day and age we're in, when things are so stacked on top of each other. Like, if a movie doesn't do what it needs to do in that first weekend, and it doesn't have the runway to be on, premium formats for multiple weekends, it is a little concerning. So I say this is a win, but will it be an absolute success? I think that remains to be seen, and it is a shame. Like if looking back in October, like I don't know if the movie was ready to come out in October, but I think even moving it back just a couple of weeks, and maybe that would have encroached on Tron a little bit too much, because this is all under the Disney umbrella. You wouldn't know it looking at the movie. That I will say that is one criticism, non-spoiler. Both times I watched it, when you get about 15 minutes into the movie, when the title card finally comes up, and just Hollywood don't do this anymore. It's just like you get that nice Predator Badlands title card that comes up, and like the Fox logo was like all over the place. It looked like a NASCAR like decal to me. It was like 20th Century Fox, copyright 20th Century Fox. I was like, okay, if I, way to take me out of the movie. I'm enraptured in this world, and you're just reminding me that this is a corporate product. So yeah, all that being said, obviously this is a high recommendation for me if you have any interest in this franchise at all. I've seen all of the Predator movies, some more than others, and I can pretty safely say I think this is my favorite of the movies, and take recency bias into account here, but Dan Trachtenberg really has a handle on this franchise, and it makes me excited to see what he can do for the future of it.
Now, Dan Trachtenberg, he's out there and he's given the interviews, and he's trying to hype up the future of the franchise and talking about, let's potentially looking at Alien crossovers, potentially like dropping Easter eggs from Alien into Predator. And then he dropped the big one last week talking about the fact that he has met with Arnold Schwarzenegger a few times about potentially bringing Arnold back in some type of a role to this franchise at some point. So I think looking big picture at the thing, it seems like he is making the case that he wants to be entrusted with the franchise, and he wants the franchise to grow from here. And I think just based on the reception, he probably has a pretty strong case to be that guy. So kind of pitching that idea of connecting the franchise to its roots, potentially bringing it into a crossover with Alien in some way. And then to bring back Arnold, I think would be huge, even if it's just a minor role. Like people who love the franchise would be completely into that. I think like even if it was just something small. So I think the franchise as a whole, big picture, that's kind of the next step here is like, are we going to take a wider view at this and give him the keys to the kingdom to keep growing the thing? And I think just based on what we've seen so far, probably so, right? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of see confirmation at some point in the near future that Dan Trachtenberg is going to start working on another one of these and is going to follow up this movie. Maybe not necessarily with the same characters, who knows, but with just the world in mind and expanding the world to some degree.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to see it yet, but man, it looks great. And it makes me want to go watch all the Predators beforehand, and I may do that. So maybe a few weeks for me before I can catch this one. But yeah, it looks awesome. Glad to hear that it's good. Yeah. All right. Well, coming up after the break, guys, we got a great lightning round for you. Vision Quest cast additions. Miss Piggy is ready for her close-up. Gremlins 3 is happening. Yeah. Gamers face some delays, and TV for Vendetta. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Multiverse News. We have a Patreon, you guys. A Patreon is how this show is supported, and Haley's going to tell us all about it. What's going on over there on the Patreon, Haley?
As Jay's doing the show me the money dance over there.
Doing the money Mansell.
You can find our Patreon at patreon.com/multiversenewscast, where you get our episodes early and ad-free. You get these live streams that we're recording right now, because they go away from YouTube after we're done recording and you can't see them ever again. So if you want the behind the scenes, the nitty gritty, if you want the mysterious absences when people walk away sometimes and then reappear, you can get that all at Patreon for just $4 a month. So go to patreon.com/multiversenewscast.
You can't put a price on seeing how the sausage is made, you know?
That's right. That's right.
Well, you can put a price on it. It's $4 a month.
That's right. If you like Marvel, you like empty chairs, and so you want to pay for the Patreon so you can see our empty chairs from time to time. Well, guys, our patron of the week is Corbinite 9000.
Whoa.
Nice.
It's a great
is that
name.
Like a robot or something?
It's
a brand new
Corbinites
patron.
are the species that Beta Ray Bill who went on to be
Oh,
Thor.
yeah.
And then I'm
There
not
you
sure
go.
about the 9000, but I'm
But the
going to assume
9000,
it's
yeah.
HAL 9000 from 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Mm.
Just chock
That was-
full of references tonight, aren't you,
Can't do
Scotty?
that for you, Dave. I'm sorry.
Yep, this guy's getting all those references we're not getting.
Catching all those strays.
Got to catch them all. That's right. Got the Pokemon one earlier. Got to
We got a
keep
lot
it
of
up.
Pokemon talk
I
tonight.
hate that I serve that up to you so easily.
All right, we had a Spotify poll last week, and it was, are you caught up and ready for Stranger Things Season 5? 52.9% of you said yes, and 47.1% of you said no. That's interesting to me. 50-50. Does that seem
Polls are
about
getting
right?
pretty split, I must say.
Yeah. I thought it's just interesting to know, like, how many of our audience are actually keeping up with that show. Not just have watched it, but, like, right there on the edge.
Indicative of this podcast, right? Half of us have seen it, half of us have not.
Oh, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
I've seen the
Scotty
first 2
and I.
seasons.
Oh,
I've
I thought you
I've
had
seen
seen
it all.
Scotty.
Yeah,
Just
so
Just
we are half
kidding.
and half.
The cheese stands alone. Never mind.
Well, it's still, according to the question, it still stands. Who's caught up? And it's me and Jay.
Right.
Yeah.
And are you happy about it?
I mean, I've
happy
liked
about
Stranger Things quite a bit, but it also I feel like I've said this the last 3 weeks, but it's so spread out that it's really hard for me to get my head around what happened. And I know that I mean, if I could just go back and rewatch it, I guess, but it's a lot to catch up on. So
Yeah.
I think that even someone like me who watched the show, enjoyed it, was into it, if I'm struggling to remember what happened, then everybody else is probably struggling to remember what happened too. So I think that is an issue a little bit because it has been a really long time since the last season.
100%. And I feel like this last season, just based on the trailer, has some references to previous seasons that I did catch. And I feel like they're going to try to do the whole, reference the beginning at the end sort of thing. And
Right.
I'm not going to remember those references as well as I hope. So
Yeah.
I would like to rewatch it before it comes out, but I don't think I'll have time.
No, it's a lot. I mean, the episodes are so long too, especially like the more recent seasons. All those episodes are pushing an hour or more, and it's just
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna get deep into a rewatch if you try to go back and watch Stranger Things. I'll probably try to find like a recap video on YouTube or something, which I would imagine is probably gonna
it's
be
a
what
good
a lot
idea.
of people do.
Yeah, that's a good idea. All right, well, let's move on to our lightning round. We have this is where I'm going to read a story, and only one of us is going to comment on it, and we're going to do that by shouting out our name to claim it. But once per lightning round, if there's a story you just cannot be silent on, you get one rebuttal per lightning round. And we got a lot of stories in lightning rounds tonight, so we're going to try to move fast. Blue Beetle and Cobra Kai star Xolo Maridueña has been cast in Season 3 of Netflix's One Piece and will play the character Portgas the Ace.
Scotty, don't know who the character is. Have not watched One Piece. I've seen a handful of episodes of the anime, but have not dived into the Netflix live action adaptation. But again, it continues to be one of the most well received. I don't think the second season has come out yet. I think it's currently in the works. But the fact that a season 3 is on the way speaks to some measure of confidence that they have in it. I will say, I hope this isn't a step down for Xolo here. And I think we live in a day and age where actors can kind of go back and forth between TV and movies, and it's not that big a deal. But it does feel like he was just kind of getting his start in the big screen sphere, going from Cobra Kai to Blue Beetle. And I just hope, as far as like his future opportunities to go, this isn't seen as a downgrade. But like I said, One Piece has a lot of goodwill around it, and it could just be the next logical step for an actor at his level. So we'll see.
Jennifer Lawrence recently revealed that she and Emma Stone are developing a movie about the iconic Muppet Miss Piggy, and Oh Mary writer and Tony winner Cole Escola penning the script, marking the character's first solo outing since Jim Henson debuted her on The Muppet Show in 1976.
Haley, I don't have a Miss Piggy impression, so I'm not going to do one. But I love the sound of this. Yeah, there you go. I can't do a very good one. I love the sound of this because I think that Jennifer Lawrence and Emma Stone, I guess we've given up the campaign to call her Emily Stone. Is that true? And Emma Stone are very funny. And Cole Escala, who wrote Oh Mary for Broadway, is hilarious and a very, very smart comedy writer. So I think all of the things just come together to make Miss Piggy's solo movie debut sound really amazing, in my opinion.
Have there been other Muppet solo movies like this? I feel like Gonzo had one, or was that just a Gonzo-centric Muppet movie?
You're asking the wrong person.
Not a Muppet expert.
In the world of interconnected universes, I'm surprised we haven't seen this before now, like some breakout Piggy movie, Kermit movie.
Patriarchy, what can you say?
Well, but she's the first. She's the first of this, is what I'm saying.
I know, I'm just saying it took forever. I'm just joking.
She's the Black Widow of the Muppet Cinematic Universe.
Yeah. Justice for Miss Piggy.
And she had a thing with the green character. Does that make sense?
The green character.
All right. Netflix and Sony have finalized a deal for another K-pop Demon Hunters movie with plans to release the animated musical sequel in 2029. Matt, of course, this is an obvious choice. I have seen half of this movie. It's great. I really enjoyed it, and my niece loves it, and the kids love it. And this, they were going to have to make some sort of sequel to this, and I'm glad it's going to take them until 2029 because making a good musical takes time. So I'm glad they're not like rushing it out, trying to capitalize on the hype and rush it. Lionsgate has released the first trailer for Michael Jackson biopic Michael, starring Jafar Jackson, the nephew of the late pop icon. The film from director Antoine Fuqua is set to hit theaters on April 24th, 2026, after its release was delayed several times.
That's all I got.
I'll go, Haley. I thought the trailer looked really good. The tone of it is very upbeat for this first trailer, and just knowing some of the things that Michael Jackson battled throughout his life, I expect it to not be that way the entire way through. And of course, it's a biopic, so they're going to go through some of the rough parts of his life. But his nephew, I think, looks and sounds just like him, and so it's fun that he gets to at least play this role for Michael Jackson's memory.
Yeah. Prime Video announced that Season 2 of The Night Manager, starring Tom Hiddleston, will premiere on January 11th. The second season comes back to Prime 10 years after the first season debuted.
Haley, I loved The Night Manager. I just watched it a couple of years ago. It's an excellent adaptation of a John le Carre novel, and so I don't think the second season's going to be an adaptation. I think it's more just building off of the existing characters, but I'm really excited to see it. And it had some major players in it: Olivia Colman, Hugh Laurie, Elizabeth Debicki, Tom Hollander. They didn't all make it out of the show, but some of them did, and so I'm really looking forward to another season of it.
Warner Brothers has set a release date for the next film in the Gremlins franchise of November 19th, 2027. Steven Spielberg is returning to executive produce Gremlins 3, while Harry Potter filmmaker, and I believe the writer on the first Gremlins, Chris Columbus, is set to direct and produce. Matt, I love the Gremlins, and I can't believe it's been this long without a Gremlins movie. I love both. They're great. The first one's really wonderful. It has a huge place in my childhood, and it's one of my favorite Christmas movies. And the second one is just weird. I just remember growing up loving those characters, and like I think around the time of the new batch, I think they thought the movie was going to do better than it did, because they did the thing where like they wrote a plot line where it made 1 million toys. So my entire childhood, I just remember walking around with Gremlins statues and action figures in every store, and on clearance aisles for years after. There were just Gremlins everything, all the different Gremlins from the new batch. And I love these movies, and I will absolutely be seeing this when it drops. It's a personal favorite of mine from my childhood. Disney has released the first official trailer for Season 2 of Percy Jackson and the Olympians, which begins streaming on December 10th.
Haley, these kids are going to be 40 by Season 4, I swear to God.
It's the new Stranger Things.
So noticeably grown. But it looks fun. Brian and I are going to talk about this. This is the second book in the series, second season. We're going to talk about it over on Source Pages. So if you're interested in that, check it out.
Yeah. In gaming news, Skydance Games is once again pushing the release for the much-anticipated Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra video game from May of 2026 to November of 2026. Rockstar Games also announced that they would be delaying Grand Theft Auto 6 once again, this time also from May 2026 to November 2026.
Scotty, if Skydance Games has any wherewithal whatsoever, they're going to be moving again because you
It's a
don't go
trap.
up against Grand Theft Auto. And you have to go back and play the tape, but I'm pretty sure when we talked about the last time Grand Theft Auto was delayed, I went on record to say it was not going to be the last delay. And I'll say that again. I'd be very surprised if this was the last delay. And it just goes to show what a juggernaut Grand Theft Auto is in the gaming industry, because they move and everybody reacts. And I think this is going to have big ramifications on a lot of releases that we're eyeing that fall 2026. We talked about it a few weeks back, but Wolverine, it's supposed to come out in that quarter. It's probably going to move. It's probably going to vacate if Grand Theft Auto doesn't move again. Now, Rockstar and Take-Two Interactive, they do have a kind of bad history about waiting till the last minute to delay games. So I hope that this is a gesture of goodwill to the industry and to the consumer, saying, hey, this thing's not going to be ready. Let's just delay it way in advance just to get expectations and so that the market can react appropriately. So if there is another delay, I hope that they are forthcoming about it. But yeah, how many other things are we going to get before we get Grand Theft Auto 6? The list grows.
I got to pop in to say, too, that if you're in any sort of entertainment thing at all, you don't want to be around Grand Theft Auto. Like, it's going to affect movies as well. Like, if you are in that, even if you're in that, like, Avengers / Dune December spot, if you're telling me that this is coming out like in late November or something like that, like I think even if you're those movies, you're not super excited about that. Like this game when it comes out is going to be so major and so huge that I think it will affect your viewership of shows, of movies, of everything like that. So it's definitely a moving target that people and industry, from all avenues of entertainment, from television to movies, are going to try to avoid. They're going to try to get away from it as much as possible.
Ryan Reynolds and Amazon MGM have teamed up to develop a remake of Thunderbolt and Lightfoot, a 1974 action comedy that starred Clint Eastwood and Jeff Bridges. Reynolds is eyeing to star in the adaptation and is collaborating on the script with writer Enzo Maletti and Scott Wilson. A writing team who's worked on season 4 of the comedic crime show Fargo. Shane Reed, who edited Reynolds' Deadpool and Wolverine, will make his directorial debut with the project.
Scotty, not a lot to say on this one, but it does have the connection to Fargo and season 4 of Fargo, so I'll speak on it. And a lot of people will say season 4 of Fargo is easily the weakest season, and that may be true to some extent, but it just goes to show what a great show it is that even the weakest season is still an incredibly compelling and entertaining season of television, for my purposes anyway. So looking at this, I kind of wonder, I'm like, who is the Jeff Bridges to Ryan Reynolds, Clint Eastwood, or vice versa? And I'm kind of struggling here. Yeah, I'm kind of struggling here, but I don't know. The one name that's kind of coming to mind for whatever reason is Tom Hardy. And I know Tom Hardy, has had a history of, being on TV while being on the film. So I'm pulling this out of nowhere, but I think you can look at like actors like that do have a history of being on the big screen as well as the small screen. And I have no familiarity with Thunderbolt and Lightfoot whatsoever. So, it will really be based on a trailer and subsequent marketing materials and announcements that come out if I have any interest around this whatsoever. Because again, I generally like Ryan Reynolds, but I think his flame has cooled significantly for me in the last few years. And whether or not, this show has contributed to that, maybe I think it has.
The 8th and final season of Outlander will premiere on Starz on March 6th. The show has been a hit for the streaming service since 2014.
Haley, I'm still shaking my head about Ryan Reynolds stepping into Clint Eastwood's shoes.
How dare you stand where he stood?
Exactly. I mean, at least get Scott Eastwood. Outlander is coming to an end. Ashley and I are covering on Always Watching. We're going to speed up our coverage to get to that point so that we can cover it in fairly real time. We're going to have to be a little late, but that's okay. But yeah, I mean, it's a big deal for Starz. It's like the thing that made their streaming service, and they have a spinoff now. So I'm sad to see it come to an end, but they've still got the universe going, so they'll be fine.
A V for Vendetta TV series is currently in development at HBO. Variety has learned exclusively. Pete Jackson is attached to write the series adaptation. James Gunn and Peter Safran of DC Studios will executive produce alongside Warner Brothers.
Scotty, I didn't get a chance to do my due diligence and research here to see if the Pete Jackson we're talking about is if that's Peter Jackson, but I'm assuming
it's not Peter Jackson. I wondered the same thing. Yeah,
certainly we would cite his body work if that was the case. But I love V for Vendetta. It's a series that I haven't talked a lot about, but I have the graphic novel sitting on my bookshelf right now. Big fan of the film. I think it came out at kind of a perfect time for me when I was growing up and had a real strong interest in just sci-fi in general, but also graphic novels. So it was again perfect time for me to kind of have the movie and the graphic novel as a companion piece. So yeah, I think it's a series that lends itself to TV. The movie did a pretty good job of adapting the series, but it is, again, like we've talked with so many TV shows, it's all about the mystery and kind of the backstory for the character of V and some of the reveals there within. And, looking at the political landscape that we live in this day and age, I think, the timing couldn't be more perfect for a biting and political thriller. So I'm here for it.
Absolutely. Lauren Morace and comedian Diane Morgan have joined the upcoming Marvel series Vision Quest in minor roles.
Jay, the article did confirm who they're playing, and I didn't put it in there because it's just random names of people that are just like associates of people who are major characters in the show. So it does seem like when we say minor roles, we mean truly minor roles. Like we're talking about essentially like business associates or business assistants of major characters. But if you see the name Diane Morgan, she's a comedian. She's kind of like viral for like she'll do like the fake interview type stuff, kind of like the Zach Galifianakis did Between Two Ferns and stuff like that. She does videos kind of like that where she like interviews people.
Philomena Crunk, isn't or something like that?
Yes, that's it. Yeah, I wasn't going to try to pull that out of my head, but that's her. So if you recognize that name, you've probably run across her on the internet at some point.
Disney has released the first trailer for Toy Story 5, which will come to theaters June 19th, 2026.
Scotty, yeah, when I saw that this had been added to the docket, I was a little surprised that my feed had not been generating more buzz about a Toy Story 5 trailer. And once I saw the trailer, it made a little bit more sense to me. This really was a teaser in all senses. It was showcased very little. And what it did show is what we have already known about the movie. It's been the major talking point. It's going to be the return of all of our favorite characters, including Woody, who had his ride off into the sunset in Toy Story 4, but they're going to find some way to bring him back. But the big thrust here is the introduction of technology-based toys, the Leapfrog. What'd I miss? I'm something.
A child. Nothing. You didn't miss anything. You
somehow Woody returned.
They're going to thrust him back in, and it just made me laugh.
That was worse. Somehow Woody has returned. I love that.
I do think the narrative direction of Toy Story 5, I think I've said this before, but I think it's a really timely and like kind of brave direction to say like to take that franchise, which has traditionally been about toys and imagination and youth and childhood, and to introduce the villain, being screen time essentially. I think I think that's a brilliant direction. If you're going to make a Toy Story 5, I think that's a kind of a brave direction to take it in, and I think it's very you can say a lot about childhood in the modern era with it. So I will be interested to see the bigger reveal, the bigger trailer, because literally, you're right, Scotty. It's literally just the iPad coming out and the toys being like, oh my god, it's an iPad. Right. And that's it. Like right. There's nothing to it. But yeah, I think again, you want to make a Toy Story 5. Okay, seems like a cash grab, but then you tell me, all right, well, it's got this very timely message. Okay, I'm willing to hear it out at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the one thing that was missing, I felt like from the trailer, was the charm of Toy Story. The Toy Story characters kind of doing, I feel like it needed like a little something before the iPad was introduced. And I think it tried, like it did a little bit. It just didn't feel like enough. I didn't laugh, I didn't feel charmed by the characters. And then it was like iPad. And I was like, that's an interesting hook. I'm interested in that. But like, I just didn't think the rest of the trailer really hooked me at all.
Oh, I thought it was funny when Woody pushed Buzz's spacesuit and his helmet popped up.
HBO has announced the production of Season 2 of Dune Prophecy has begun and that the season will be 8 episodes instead of 6, the length of Season 1. Game of Thrones veteran Indira Varma, star of Netflix's Adolescence, Ashley Walters, and Tom Hollander of The White Lotus have also all been added to the cast.
Haley, Ashley and I covered Dune Prophecy on Always Watching, and one of the things we definitely took away from it was that it needed to be a few more episodes, so I'm glad that they're increasing it to 8 instead of 6, because it was a complete story, but I think one of our complaints was that it felt a little bit rushed. And wow, for a second Tom Hollander mention on one podcast.
Look out, Pedro.
We haven't talked about Pedro in a while.
We have not.
Wasn't the last time we talked about Tom Hollander, him thinking that he got Tom Holland money, but it was accidentally sent to him instead?
Yeah.
Poor guy.
He's all right.
Pop star Sabrina Carpenter will star in and produce a musical inspired by Alice in Wonderland for Universal Pictures. Lorene Scafaria will write and direct the feature. Mark Platt, the producer behind both the Broadway and screen productions of Wicked, will produce the project.
Haley, I love a Sabs Carp. I love Sabrina. I think she's so funny. I did look it up because I was like, surely there's a musical of Alice in Wonderland, and it's from the 1800s. So knowing Sabrina's proclivities and what she likes to do on stage, this is not going to be that, which is okay with me. I think it'll be fun and flirty, which is kind of her thing. Mark Platt, if you're into musicals, you will recognize that his son is Ben Platt from the name totally escapes me because I'm trying to come up with it, but he's a
Evan Morris or something, or what
Evan
Hansen.
something Hansen,
Evan
yeah, dear
Hansen,
Evan
yeah.
Hansen.
Dear Evan Hansen.
I
Okay.
was
We got
like,
there.
it's just totally not there. But
We
Mark
get it.
Platt's big in the Broadway world, so I think it sounds fun. And Sabrina looks perfectly like Alice, like you can picture it in your head, especially
totally.
the Disney version.
I will say I love Sabrina Carpenter's songwriting, and so I really hope she's involved in like the actual writing of these songs. I think she'd be really good at that. Her songs have a really good storytelling element, and they're just really catchy and also musically interesting. Like I play them for my music friends that like jazz, those types, and they're like, oh, that's an interesting chord choice. Like she does things with her music that aren't just so
Jack
straightforward.
Antonoff has produced her last 2 albums, so
Yes, and I love him. All right, Noah Hawley has signed a new overall deal with FX and Disney, which includes a second season of Alien Earth. Woo!
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
How about Hallelujah?
Okay. I see what you did.
This is great news. This is great news.
Absolutely. Couldn't and a last minute addition. So truly delighted in this moment to get this news.
I was literally adding it while we were in the lightning round.
Wow. Well, thank you for
wow,
that,
Jay, you weren't even listening to us while we were talking.
No, I was like, I had one ear on you and I had one ear somewhere else.
That's why he got up and his chair was empty for a while.
Yeah.
He was out news hounding.
Scooping.
Yep.
Yeah,
He was out
I was
scooping
like,
things.
scoops aren't going to gather themselves.
We appreciate your sacrifice.
So like combining news hound and scoop just makes me think of like scoop and poop because
Okay.
it's hounds, dogs. I don't know. Anyway, that's the show, guys.
Welcome to Matt's Mind.
It's the name of all my podcasts. All right, guys. Let's go around and tell people what we've got going on. Jay Sisson, what you got going on?
Yeah, you can find me at Commute the Podcast weekly on Mondays. And then I will also be later this week joining our friend of the show, Reed Murphy's show, the 323 Network with Reed Murphy. So I'll be on his show later this week. So if you, if you haven't subscribed to Reed's show, he's been on our show several times. And I'm sure he'd appreciate a follow over there too. So, so go do that.
And Haley Hobbs.
Ryan and I are doing a couple more weeks of Secret Wars comics, and then in addition to The Sea of Monsters, the second Percy Jackson novel, we're going to read Fatal Alliance, which is a Star Wars old legends, old canon, whatever, novel. And then Ashley and I are super busy with Outlander and Unqualified Opinions, and so it's just a busy time.
Yeah, and J. Scotty St. Clair.
Yeah, as kind of aforementioned, we are entering the holiday season here, so I don't have as much going on as far as other podcasts go, but I'm probably going to be heading to the movies a lot more often. I'm watching things like It, Welcome to Derry. So maybe cook up some opportunities to do some things on the Patreon feed for you guys. And we've had some listeners write in about how are you guys going to cover all of this stuff. So, look forward to some of that stuff maybe taking a little bit of a different form and format.
Sweet.
That's a tease.
Love it. Well, we'll be right here on Multiverse News, and check out the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast. We just did our Infinity Saga rewatch of Infinity War, so we're getting really close to the end of the saga, and that's been a lot of fun. So check that out, and we'll be right back here. Peace.
You stay classy, Multiverse.
Hey, thanks for listening to Multiverse News, or watching it, or whatever you're doing, eyeballs or ear holes, whichever thing. We do this show every week, and we appreciate you listening. StrandedPanda.com is where you can find all of our podcasts, and thank you for listening. Check us out wherever you get podcasts. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit the little bell icon, whatever you have on whatever service you're doing. Rate us, like us. We're really thirsty. That's what I'm saying.